The tennis world is shocked that Andy Murray just gifted Alex Eala a luxurious condominium. No one anticipated this. A present that was so surprising and intimate that even Aya was at a loss for words. It wasn't a sponsorship agreement. It was not a PR gimmick. There was more to it. Fans were left wondering what was really going on between these two and why at this crucial juncture in Ayla's career. Nobody was aware of their proximity. Three-time Grand Slam champion Andy Murray, the fighter who overcame surgery that ended his career, and the man who redefined what it means to be resilient in tennis, and rising Filipino star Alex Eala, who is working through WTA qualifiers and challenger tournaments in an attempt to break into the top 100 with nothing but raw talent and unwavering determination. They didn't seem to have much in common: distinct generations, continents, and challenges. However, their paths unexpectedly intersected at some point along the route. Quietly, it began. Just a discussion on a London practice court during the grass season. No cameras, no interviews. Ayala had been working out at the National Tennis Center, attempting to adjust to a surface that was unfamiliar to her baseline style of play. Murray was hitting with his squad on the court next door while recuperating from yet another injury setback. He was the first to notice her, the way she moved, the fire in her eyes each time she missed a shot, and the way she persevered on balls that appeared insurmountable. It could have made him think of himself, or the version of himself who used to sleep in little hotel rooms and worry whether he would ever make it. They struck up a conversation about the tour, the loneliness of traveling without a strong support network, and what it takes to survive at the top level when you don't have the resources that others do. Initially, they had brief exchanges and technical advice about footwork on grass. Beyond Ayala's forehand and court coverage, Murray saw something in her that most others missed. He saw the burden she carried, the pressure of becoming the first Filipino woman to succeed in professional tennis, the expectations of a whole country on her shoulders, and the financial hardship of supporting her own career while facing players supported by multi-million-dollar teams. He made a choice that day, but he didn't tell her about it at the time. He would assist if he could, in a way that really mattered, not in some far-off symbolic manner. So he stayed in contact. Text messages after her games, counsel when she requested it, and silent support as the defeats mounted and the ranking remained unchanged. He realized he had to take action after learning about her living circumstances, which included switching between Airbnbs, staying with host families, and even sleeping on sofas in between competitions. It took place late in September on a Tuesday afternoon. Ayala had recently suffered a devastating 3-set defeat at a Spanish WTA 125 tournament. She was worn out, irritated, and wondering whether she was making any progress or if she had been doing the same thing for months. Her coach informed her that they had to go to London for a brief discussion about the off-season training logistics. She didn't give it much thought. They reached a modern apartment complex in South Kensington, one of the most affluent areas in London. Ayala thought it would be a sponsor meeting and a possible collaboration. She had already visited many of these corporate offices with courteous grins and ambiguous assurances of assistance that never came to pass. However, when they entered the lobby, there was just a handwritten message and a pair of keys on a marble counter. No meeting room, executives, or suits. For Alex, you ought to have a home base. Continue to fight. Andy. After reading the message 3 times and staring at it for a while, she turned to face her instructor in confusion. Is this the case? Her coach gave a nod. You own it. He purchased it for you. The flat was located on the 4th level. There are 2 bedrooms, a fully furnished kitchen, a living room with ample room for recuperation equipment, floor-to-ceiling windows facing a peaceful street lined with trees, and a second bedroom that could be used as a training or meditation area. It was thoughtfulness rather than just luxury. Every element seems to be intended for an athlete. The extremely firm mattress, the peaceful setting away from the bustle of downtown London, and the blackout curtains for post-match recuperation. Ayala moved silently through the rooms. She refrained from crying. She refrained from screaming. Her hands were shaking as she stood there, unable to comprehend what had just transpired. She would then share only one picture on Instagram. Just the view through the window, no caption. Light from the golden hour is pouring through the window. Fans saw the location tag within an hour. The tale went viral in less than 2 hours. Alex Eala has just received a house from Andy Murray, and the internet went crazy. It was described. by some as the most giving deed they had ever seen in tennis. The motivation was questioned by some. Was this philanthropy, mentoring, or something else entirely? The rumors got out of control. Think pieces were composed. Every aspect was examined. In podcasts, tennis Twitter turned to become a battleground for divergent viewpoints. But there was one question among all the commotion. You have to go back to 2005 to understand why Andy Murray did this. At the age of 19, he was out of the top 100, going to ATP competitions by himself with a duffel bag and an unattainable desire. Judy, his mother, had given up everything to help him get there. Murray didn't always know where he would sleep, however, even with her help. The cost of hotel rooms was high. He didn't have the money to pay for training facilities. Because he couldn't afford a physiotherapist, he would miss recuperation sessions, eat the cheapest foods he could find, and lay awake wondering whether he would ever make progress. He saw the same expression in Alex Eala's eyes and recalled the loneliness, tiredness, and sense that one bad month might ruin everything. She was not having the same difficulties. Her family did their best to help her. The WTA circuit is harsh on players outside of the top 50, despite the Philippine Tennis Association's best efforts. Expenses are seldom covered by prize money. Unless you are already well-known, sponsorships are uncommon. Furthermore, the burden was oppressive for someone like Ayala, who was attempting to support her own career while carrying the dreams of a whole nation. For months, Murray had been observing her outcomes. The heartbreaking qualifying experiences, the first-round setbacks, and the flashes of genius followed by devastating losses. He was aware of how that loop undermined a young player's self-esteem and caused them to wonder whether they belonged. However, he was also aware of something else, that Ayala was talented enough to succeed, that she wasn't far away, that she didn't need a motivating speech or another generic sponsorship. In order to fully concentrate on her game, she needed something tangible that would take away one source of worry. Thus, he purchased the condo as an unconditional gift, rather than as a loan or investment. He wanted no media attention. He was not interested in taking credit. All he wanted was to provide a young athlete with the stability he wishes he had experienced at her age. After Ayala moved in, he sent her a private message saying, "I'm not doing this because I think you need saving. I'm doing this because I know you're going to make it. And when you do, you'll remember this moment. And maybe you'll do the same for someone else." Although the message was never made public, those close to Ayala claimed that it completely changed her life because she felt like she could breathe for the first time in years. It was an instantaneous and divisive response. Fans were in amazement on one side. They referred to it as the most exquisite example of mentoring in contemporary tennis. Legends like Billie Jean King, who dedicated decades to inspiring the next generation, were likened to Murray. They said that more of this was required in the sport. Well-known celebrities provide their resources to others who are still rising. This is the appearance of a true champion. On the other hand, suspicion simmered. One widely shared tweet said, "Andy Murray just became my favorite player forever." The optics were questioned by some. A young girl player receives a luxurious apartment from a man champion. Conspiracy theories quickly gained traction at a time when people were acutely aware of power relationships and hidden agendas. Did this connection include more than just mentoring? Was Murray attempting to exert control over her career? Was this a subtle kind of grooming? Debate erupted on tennis forums. Discussions on Reddit descended into anarchy. Every public exchange between Murray and Ayala was examined by TikTok producers in an attempt to uncover hidden messages. Even reputable journalists expressed their opinions. Murray's kindness was commended by several. Some questioned if this kind of paternalism was really progressive, and why a male player felt the need to help a female player. Others responded to Patrick McEnroe's commentary during a broadcast, stating, "Look, Andy's heart is in the right place. But I do wonder if this sets a precedent. Are we saying young players can't make it without a benefactor? That's not the message we want to send." The strongest comments, however, came from supporters in the Philippines. Martina Natalova said, "People will criticize anything. Andy saw someone who needed help and helped. That's it. Stop looking for problems where there aren't any." This had nothing to do with power dynamics or optics for them. This was about acknowledgement and respect. Seeing their nation's button. G-Star, a 3-time Grand Slam winner, had enough faith in her to make an investment. Action is equally as important as words. Tennis communities throughout the Philippines came together to support Ayala. For days, hashtags were popular. In Manila, murals of Murray and Ayala emerged. They printed t-shirts. This gesture was significant for a country where no player had ever been in the top 100. However, one voice had remained mute amid all the commotion: Alex Eala. Up till now, Ia finally spoke 3 weeks after the news was made public. In a private, one-on-one interview with a trusted Filipino journalist, rather than at a news conference or in a well-planned Instagram post. The video, which featured her sitting in the apartment Murray had given her and spoke from the heart, was quietly posted on YouTube. "I didn't know how to react at first," she added in a calm but poignant tone. She stopped and looked down at her hands, saying, "I thought it was a joke or a mistake because things like this don't happen to people like me. I've been on tour for years now, and every day is a battle, not just on the court, but off it. Finding places to stay, managing costs, worrying if one injury will end everything because I can't afford to take time off. That weight, it's always there. And I thought that was just part of the journey, that everyone goes through it." She looked directly at the camera, but Andy showed me that it doesn't have to be that way. That someone believing in you can change everything. Not because they're solving all your problems, but because they're telling you that you matter, that your dream is worth investing in. The interviewer asked if she felt pressure now to succeed because of the gift. Ayala smiled, a real smile, not the polite one she used in post-match interviews. "I feel the opposite," she said. "For the first time, I feel like I can fail without losing everything. I have a place to come back to, a place to train, to recover, to think. That freedom, that's what's going to make me better. Not the apartment itself, but what it represents." She was asked about the criticism, the people questioning Murray's motives, the debates about power dynamics. Her expression hardened slightly. "People will always find something to criticize, but I know Andy's heart. I know what he's been through. And I know this wasn't about control or publicity. It was about one person helping another. That's it. And if people can't see that, that's their problem, not mine." Before the interview ended, she made a promise. "One day when I'm where I want to be, I'm going to do this for someone else. Because Andy didn't just give me an apartment, he gave me a blueprint for how to give back." The video went viral, not because of the drama, but because of the authenticity. And for the first time since the story broke, people stopped arguing and started listening. This story isn't really about an apartment. It's about something the tennis world doesn't talk about enough: the gap between talent and opportunity, the invisible weight that crushes young players before they ever get a chance to prove themselves. Alex Eala is one of the lucky ones. Not because she's the most talented, not because she worked the hardest, but because someone with resources saw her struggle and chose to act. But what about the hundreds of other players grinding through ITF and Challenger events right now? The ones sleeping in budget motel, the ones skipping meals to afford entry fees. The ones whose careers will end not because they lack talent, but because they ran out of money first. Murray's gesture exposed a truth that the tennis establishment wants to ignore: that the system is broken, that unless you come from wealth or get discovered early by a major academy, your chances of making it are almost zero. Some players praised Murray publicly. Others stayed silent, perhaps wondering why no one did the same for them. Sloane Stevens posted, "This is beautiful, but it also makes me think about all the players who needed this and never got it." With the description, "Mentorship matters," and Jabbour posted the tale, "We have to do better as a sport. Representation is important. Giving back matters." But not everyone was celebrating. Some former players questioned whether this kind of individual charity was sustainable, whether the solution was more Andy Murray's or systemic change that ensured no young player had to rely on a benefactor to survive. "We shouldn't need billionaires and champions to rescue talented kids." One retired player said in a podcast, "The tours make billions. What is the destination of the money?" For athletes rated between 100 and 300 who are only one injury away from becoming bankrupt, why isn't there a fund? It's a fair question, one that the WTA and ATP have avoided for years. But in the interim, Andy Murray did what he could. He gave Alex Eala an apartment because he remembered what it was like to be young, talented, and alone. He did it because he believes in a tennis world where talent isn't wasted because of money. And maybe, just maybe, this is the beginning of something bigger. A shift in how the sport treats its rising stars. A reminder that mentoring isn't just giving Ayala's career forever.